She was dead, but the door was locked from the outside. On a cloudy Tuesday afternoon in Dayton, Ohio, 32-year-old Rachel Monroe didn't show up for work. Her co-workers thought it was unlike her. She never missed a day without calling. By 5 p.m., her manager grew concerned and requested a welfare check. What officers found inside her small third-floor apartment looked like a textbook suicide. Rachel was face down in the living room. A half-empty pill bottle sat beside a glass of wine, and a typed note lay beside her phone. The scene felt somber, if not entirely convincing. That's when Detective Maria Vega spotted it, the deadbolt. It was locked from the outside, and just like that, what looked like a suicide turned into a mystery. Rachel had no known mental health issues. She'd just been promoted at the law firm she worked at. Her friends described her as sharp, confident, and annoyingly punctual. Nothing about her screamed instability. But more importantly, if she killed herself inside, how did the door get locked from the outside? Vega swept the apartment thoroughly. No broken windows, no forced entry, no sign of struggle. It was almost too clean, too deliberate. The windows were sealed. The apartment was quiet. Nothing out of place until she noticed Rachel's phone was shoved between the cushions of the couch, not on the coffee table like everything else. On the phone, one unsent text caught Vega's attention. "He's watching me again." Sent at 2:07 a.m., the night before Rachel died. Who was he? The next morning, Vega canvassed the building. An elderly neighbor, Mrs. Callahan, said she often saw a man sitting in a silver car late at night near the alleyway. "Creepy guy," she said. "Sat out there smoking those weird skinny cigarettes. Always watching the building." Hours later, patrol officers found a silver Chevy Malibu parked 2 blocks from the apartment. The man behind the wheel was calm, composed, and familiar. His name was Derek Lane, a former security guard with no criminal record. He claimed he was waiting to meet his girlfriend, whose name he wouldn't share. When asked about Rachel, he shrugged and said, "Never heard of her." But something about Derek set off alarms in Vega's gut. He was too smooth, too comfortable with silence. She couldn't pin anything on him yet. Then came the first real break. While checking a trash bin near the stairwell, Vega found a bent paperclip, slightly scorched with one end twisted. Most people would ignore it, but Vega wasn't most people. She brought it back upstairs and tested it on Rachel's front door. With a little effort, the clip slid between the door frame and latch. When twisted just right, the latch slipped into place. It was a lock bypass trick. Someone could enter, stage a suicide, and relock the door from the outside using the clip. Vega realized Rachel's killer had tried to make it look like she'd locked herself in. But the trash didn't lie. The problem now was proof, a motive, a connection between Rachel and Derek Lane. That's when Vega got access to Rachel's office emails. Most had already been wiped clean by her law firm's IT department. But a mirrored server had retained one unsent message to jlloyd106@protonmail.com. Subject, "I have the files." You lied. Bingo. The email was connected to Jason Lloyd, the CEO of Sentinel Watch, a private security firm that had recently lost a lucrative contract over a corporate espionage case. And Derek Lane? He was one of their ex-employees. Now, Vega had motive, but motive wasn't enough. She needed to prove he was there. She needed one more crack in the armor. And the city's traffic cameras were about to give her exactly that. Detective Maria Vega had motive, a suspicious man, and a very dead woman. What she didn't have yet was evidence to place Derek Lane inside that apartment the night Rachel Monroe died. That changed with a single camera. A traffic unit flagged footage from 12th and Main, just 3 blocks from Rachel's apartment. At 7:42 p.m., Rachel's estimated time of death, a silver Chevy Malibu was caught rolling a yellow light. The driver, Derek Lane, but Lane had an alibi. He told detectives he was at a steakhouse across town with his girlfriend. Vega obtained the restaurant's security footage and reviewed the evening frame by frame. At first, it backed him up. Lane was seated at 7:15 p.m. But then, right between 7:35 and 7:50, the footage jumped, a gap caused by a change in shift at the hostess stand. 10 minutes. Just enough time for someone to slip away. Vega felt it in her bones. Derek left the restaurant, raced across town, and staged Rachel's suicide before slipping back into his booth unnoticed. Still, the prosecution would need more than traffic footage and a hunch. She returned to Rachel's apartment for a final sweep. This time, she had a full forensic team with her. They dusted every surface, sprayed luminol, scanned for heat signatures, and even lifted trace fibers from the vent system. And on the back door frame, nearly invisible to the naked eye, was a partial thumbprint. The lab confirmed the match, Derek Lane. When confronted with the print, Derek tried to play coy. But Rachel's building manager confirmed she had only moved in 6 weeks ago. Caught in a lie, Derek's answers grew shaky. Meanwhile, Vega kept digging into the email Rachel had tried to send to Jason Lloyd. She discovered that Rachel had been reviewing legal documents from a whistleblower case involving Sentinel Watch, the same company Derek had worked for. Rachel had been helping prepare evidence for a class action lawsuit. It turned out Sentinel had been selling surveillance data to third parties, including competitors and foreign buyers. If those documents got out, it wouldn't just be a lawsuit. It'd be prison time for Lloyd and possibly Lane. So where were the files Rachel had threatened to send? That's when Vega checked the air vents. Also on the USB, an audio recording. Rachel's voice, nervous, clipped. "You need to stop calling me. I know what you did. I copied everything. If anything happens to me, it's already scheduled to go out." And then, Derek's voice, unmistakable. That'd be a mistake, a really big one. Now Vega had it all: motive, opportunity, evidence, and a confession caught on audio. Faced with the mountain of proof, Derek Lane folded in interrogation. He admitted to using a paperclip and string to hold the lock open, slipped inside with gloves, staged the suicide, wiped the computer, and left through the back. He threw the paperclip in the hallway trash without a second thought. Rachel had planned to drop the evidence off at the post office that morning, but it had closed early due to a staff meeting. That one delay cost her everything. Derek Lane was sentenced to life without parole. Jason Lloyd was later indicted on charges of corporate espionage and obstruction of justice. The public never heard much about Rachel Monroe. Her case didn't make national headlines. Sometimes the smallest lie is what unlocks the whole truth.